I'm about to graduate from a top 5 CS school with a degree in CS in May 2019. I'm on track to get a solid 6-figure salary with good stock options and bonus as a 22-year-old. All my friends will be living in the same area as me after graduation and we'll probably live together. In the grand scheme of things, there is nothing wrong with my life, and it's a position that a lot of the younger people on this thread really are shooting for. I'm not happy though. I feel like Silicon Valley is so cold and unfeeling. Everyone here is looking at the bottom line for themselves. There is no real community outreach or integration into the area people live. There's widespread entitlement and a tendency to throw money at problems until they disappear. There's liberalism in name only here, but very few people are willing to put their money where their mouth is. There's obvious classism and racism out here. I'm fairly progressive when it comes to politics, but I find the people out here tiresome when it comes to disagreements, especially since the extent that they engage in controversial topics is just lip service. I used to talk about how LA is superficial and cold, but I don't think the Bay is that different from that anymore. It's all about where you work, who you know, and how much you make. Not that there's anything bad about that, but it really just feels like a bunch of people living in an ivory tower surrounded by a large, well-protected gate while there are starving masses outside that are really just trying to survive. An amp, #X200B, I grew up upper middle class but was best friends with a lot of people who were just above the poverty line East Coast. Most my friends were Latino or black growing up. I'm Indian American. And it really bothers me that such a large portion of this Asian, Indian, white-dominated area looks at those demographics so poorly. There are so many social issues here that we, as members of the tech community, are contributing to but refuse to acknowledge past the point of talk. I'm sick and tired of it. Everyone is out here asking questions like, how do I get past interviews at companies like FAANG, and how much is the starting salary for someone with my skill set? But in the end, aren't most of these people just looking for run-of-the-mill backend or front-end jobs? Won't we all just be building CRUD applications for the Ubers, Lyfts, Googles, and Amazons of the world while enjoying the toys that we're given with these nice compensation packages? But in the grand scheme of things, we're really not doing anything fulfilling with our lives. We're all just in the pursuit of more money. IDK, maybe I'm just ranting right now. I absolutely am. I'm just becoming more and more disenchanted from this life as I get closer and closer to graduation. I'm not super keen on the idea of watching the world burn while we build cool and often useful things that will stay confined to the wealthy for most of the foreseeable future. And cost of living for all of us shoots up dramatically. An amp, #X200B, thoughts?
Deleted.
Lots of stuff going on here, but you're not too far off. Especially for East Coast transplants, this area can be a bit uncomfortable. Don't equate this sub with actual friendly conversation in SV, though. Yes, work talk will replace school talk, but if your friends chat about what's important to them and what makes them feel fulfilled, that won't stop. There's also lots of people out here who volunteer or engage in significant charitable giving. You'll see it more so among your older coworkers. So, while I've seen most, all of the problems you've described, I've also found wonderful mentors. They have pointedly told me when I was overfocused on minor compensation differences, backed up with stories of regrets of their job decisions from 10 to 30 years ago. They have pointed out when I've not spent enough time figuring out what I value. Those are the kinds of people that you want to meet. If you like the general culture of your school, you will have a strong alumni network out here that will help you find those people.
I work at a big N. While I deeply understand the nihilistic impulse that's driven you to write this, life does have more meaning. That meaning doesn't come from where you live, who you work for, or who your friends are. It's meaning you create. And that you bring with you. I live with my kids and grandkid in South Bay. We go to the beach together regularly. I'm learning to surf. I've taken up longboarding in middle age. My wife is devoutly religious. She's discovered a very supportive local church, and I've found religion in the variety of drinks sold at 5th Street Coffee in Gilroy. I get on the bus at 7 a.m. and I get home at 5:45 p.m. most nights. I find meaning in my home life and friends, and in trying to leave the world a better place than I found it in many small ways. When I look at someone using a product my company makes, and the feature I helped create, that allows them to experience something that brings a smile to their face, I feel a sense of fulfillment from my work. Life does not give you meaning. Purpose is not something you find. It's something you create. Find fulfillment outside of work. Use all the money these companies are giving you for crud apps and start a charity or something.
This subreddit is a Silicon Valley simulator. It really is an echo chamber. You don't need to work at Big N to have a long and successful career making good money. There's more out there than endlessly chasing more money. You don't need $500K a year at FB to be successful. I don't want to work at the largest companies, so I don't.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Come to Europe. We have a third of your offered base salary but higher real estate prices.
Deleted.
I worked for 3 years in SF before realizing I wasn't happy with going into a job I didn't care about every single day. The nice thing about CS jobs is you have the ability to find remote work if that's something you want, or the job security to quit and travel for a long time, what I'm doing now, smiley face.
Watch American Psycho AMD every time they say something about accounts substitute the word app.